Thank you for tuning in to another episode of the Formula Review. I'm your host, Charles May, and today I'm very, very fortunate to be able to share with you a 2011 Lotus Evora Heritage Edition. Extremely rare car. Only 4 of these were ever made. As you can see, it's got this stunning livery on it from front to end. So very excited to finally be able to drive this car and share it with you today, and I hope you enjoy. All right, here we go in the 2011 Lotus Evora S Heritage Edition. This car is beautiful on the inside. Nice Alcantara everywhere. It's a really good design. I love that manual. And for will it scrape, we'll be very careful today because this is actually one of only 4 Heritage Editions ever made. This is actually number 3, so be very, very careful here. No lifter system in here, and we're good. No scrapage. All right, so we're coming up on the tunnel here. I'm gonna give you a little bit of a sound. It's nothing crazy, but you probably hear that supercharger a little bit better. Roll down the windows for you, and we're in sport mode, which really brings this car to life. Give you a little bit of downshift here. Wow, that sounds great. And when sports mode is activated, this car's throttle responses is so much better. And you can notice it even from the sound of the supercharger, how much more power is just coming on quicker. You know, if up to me, I'd probably drive this car in sports mode 100% of the time. The first thing I really like about this Heritage Edition is the overall design. The Evora, when I first saw it, when it first came out, I was taken away, honestly, just by how different it looked in the Exige and the Elise, which were, you know, the predecessors to this car. Those cars, very, very short, you know, great for the track, very, very small for a person like myself. Felt a little bit like a kit car. This feels like a real proper car. Much longer body. The overall design is something you really can't compare to any other car. It's a really new, fresh platform from Lotus. Even the interior, you know, with the Exige and the Elise, we were getting a lot of plastic bits and just not that, you know, the seats are super thin on that. These are proper seats with really nice bolsters. As you can see, you got the stitching here for the Heritage Edition. Just really, really overall impressive design from what was previously the Exige and the Elise. I think they really could have done a better job. And that's what really, when I first saw this car, I was so excited. Still to this day, I think the look is amazing. No one else has really duplicated it. It's not very, there's not a lot of flowing body lines like that, but just overall, it looks great. It looks very unique, and that's what I liked so much about this car, is that you really can't compare it to something else. The one thing that's still like the Exige and the Elise is the handling in this car. It's just very, very go-kart-like. You know, you point, when you want to go that direction, you just point, and the steering is very, very responsive. And that's the one thing I like that kind of carried over, and I remember from the Exige and the Elise, is that the steering is very, very responsive, and that's what you really, really want to look for when you're up in those back roads. And this car is very light. It's got a lot of power, and that power to weight ratio really does wonders, and the combination of the steering just makes it an absolute driving pleasure. I love that this car is a manual, but there's one thing I could change on it. It would be putting a dead pedal to the left of the clutch. There's nothing really there, so your left foot is just kind of left in limbo as to where to hang out. You can rest it, of course, on the ground, and you don't want to rest it on the clutch while you're driving. But if there's one thing I could change, it'd be a dead pedal to the left of the clutch. That would be a really nice improvement. But the second thing I like most about this car is the livery. Of course, that's what makes it a Heritage Edition. That's what makes it look so great. This being a British car, I think the green and the yellow looks absolutely amazing. And of course, you know, the original owner is British, so I can see why he liked this in particular. He's got some extra badges on the outside, you know, to go along with the livery. And overall, the stitching on the inside, the yellow on the headrest, the yellow on the Alcantara around the dash, matches the striping on the outside. So overall, I think the livery is spot on for this car. Really couldn't ask much for more. The third thing I really love about this Heritage Edition Lotus is the fact that it's a mid-engine and it's got that supercharger on the rear. This actually has an aftermarket airbox on it, so you can hear more of what the supercharger does. And I'll give you a small example of that here with a little bit of downshift. Not a fan of superchargers. I'd much rather have a turbo on there, and I know the original owner was a big fan of turbos as well, especially if they're on a Porsche, but there's something about having that mid-engine with a supercharger. The car is just overall extremely well balanced. When you step on the accelerator in sport mode, you can hear everything that's going on back there, and this car is just such a great overall driving sensation. The steering is so direct and lightweight. The car itself is very lightweight. The throttle response is amazing. A lot of people could compare this to a GT4, but I think I'd almost rather have this. It's just more unique. Of course, it's the Heritage Edition, so it's just even more rare. But overall, this car, the mid-engine layout, the supercharger, that's what I really think makes it so great, is the overall balance and the throttle response, and the sensation you get when you push it to the floor, you're up in the mountains, and you're taking those turns. An absolutely amazing sensation. I absolutely love this single tube exhaust that comes out of the rear. Really cool design. It actually gives you some of those nice crackle and pops when you're downshifting and you know, accelerating and letting off of it, which is kind of impressive. It's something you wouldn't expect from a supercharged V6. The type of person I can see owning this Evora Heritage Edition is somebody who isn't afraid of thinking outside the box and, you know, stepping away from what's the norm. You know, this car, you know, really not that well known, very underrated in my opinion, and honestly, the Heritage Edition just makes it, you know, much more rare. It's hopefully it's something that you still want to drive. You know, it is one of only 4, so you probably want to pick and choose the days you actually take it out. But this car is just really a great overall driving sensation. And for somebody who's actually looking for that feedback from the car, you really can't ask for much more. I know it's not something, Lotus is not a terribly popular brand compared to some of the major other ones, but that's what I think is you're gonna benefit from, is that not everyone would buy this car. So I think the person who does want to buy this car is simply interested in that driving pleasure and feedback, and the overall look is killer. I think is really gonna enjoy it and have a hard time putting it back in the garage, because it is an absolute driving pleasure. There goes the Model 3, which will be here very shortly. So thank you for tuning in to another episode of the Formula Review. It's been an absolute pleasure to be able to share this with you. This car, again, is very rare, one of only 4, this being number 3. I can't say this enough. This car is so underrated. If you're interested in a Porsche GT4, I highly suggest you drive this car first. A very purist feeling. The overall car looks amazing. The amenities are amazing. The livery attracts a lot of attention. That's one thing I've noticed today out on the road. This is not a red Ferrari. This is not a crazy hypercar, but the amount of people that come over and look at this car as you're driving along them is pretty impressive. So if you're interested in this car, please reach out to Brad at San Francisco Sports Cars. He'll have more information for you. Thank you for tuning in, and I'll catch you on the next episode.